Hello, students and parents. In this video lesson, we'll be going over our math assignment from earlier today. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, always make sure to put your date at the top of your paper. Please put the date in which you are doing this assignment. I am doing this video on the 20th of August. Oh my goodness, there we go. Sorry, so it says 2020. I'll probably redo that so that looks a little better. So August 20th, 2020, there. Okay, here, let's see if I can make our video a little bit clearer so that way it's not as fuzzy. Okay, good. So August 20th, 2020. So for this assignment in math, we were going more in detail with bar graphs. We were given information in a little table, and then we had to convert that or create that into a bar graph. So for this one, we're just going to use the example that they gave us, which is, it looks something like this. So they had birds, insects, and birds, insects, and I believe dogs. Okay, and they had a little table like this, and it was how many legs on each animal. So legs on animals. Okay, so we know that birds have 2, insects have 6, and dogs have 4. Okay, so they gave us a table like this, and then we had to create a bar graph that showed the same information just in another way. So we are going to now create our bar graph. Now, when you're doing this assignment, you don't have to redo the table right here unless you want to, but you don't have to. I'm just putting it there as a guide for myself, so then that way I can refer back to it when I'm creating my bar graph. So the easiest way to make a bar graph is to do a rectangle. I do this with the students. We create a rectangle and then we cut it up into different pieces. So we cut it up into 1, 2, 3 rectangles like that. And then we chop off the first beginning part of it. So we have room to write our titles in and draw a little picture here. And then you're gonna put your lines for the data to go in here. So we need to have up to 6 lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. So now that your graph is set up, let's go ahead and start plugging in some more information for our graph. Now, graphs usually have a title on them, so please write your title. Your title for your table is the same as your title for your graph, so legs on animals. Okay. So now let's go ahead and plug in our titles, so the types of animals. So we have birds, and I'm going to do a little bird. Now, granted, it's not going to be perfect, but I tried my best. That's what I tell students, is just try your best. It's okay if it's not perfect, but as long as you try your best, it'll all work out in the end. So birds, and then we do insects. And I'm going to draw a little bug here. Okay, and then dogs. And then for dogs, I'm just going to draw a little puppy. Like that. Okay, so we have birds, insects, and dogs, and that's the same animals that we have in our table here. So now let's go ahead and put the numbers on the bottom of our graph. And these numbers are going to tell us or actually help us to measure how many legs go in our table, like their data. It helps us measure and see like how big these numbers actually look. Okay, so at the beginning here, we start here 0, because if we start over here, then you're going to mess up your titles of your animals with your data. So always make sure that your 0 starts in front of your titles of the data that you're graphing. So 0, and then we're just going to label 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now that we have our numbers at the bottom of our graph, and we have our title, and we have the types of animals, the numbers also represent how the number of legs on each animal. So now with colors, crayons preferably. If you don't have crayons, then you can use other colors. I'm going to take a brown for dogs. Let's use a green for insects and a blue for birds. Okay, you can use other colors. You don't have to use these. That's why I tell students, just whatever colors you have, just try and get like the siblings. So if you don't have blue, then use purple. If you don't have green, use yellow or orange. If you don't have brown, use gray or red. So, excuse me. Okay, birds. So now we're going to start filling in our table. So for birds, we see that they have 2 legs. So on our graph, we're going to color in up to the 2 here. So another nice thing is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that we have boxes here. And so we can just color into boxes, and that will line up perfectly with our 2. So go ahead and color in our first part for birds. Okay. Then next we're going to do insects, and insects we see there's 6, so we're going to have to color in 6 boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we can see up to this line it goes down to the 6, so that is correct. So we're going to now color in this entire section with green for the insect legs. And then lastly, we have dogs. And if we look up here, dogs have 4 legs. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, or we can go up and down and we see a 4. So we'll go ahead and color all of this brown. Okay. Okay, so now, oops, I'm gonna go ahead and put away my crayons because I no longer need them, and it helps keep my space clean. Okay, now with my pencil, or I use markers so kids can see the page better, I'm gonna scoot this back a little bit and then move this up like that. Okay, so now that our graph matches our table, we can also check to make sure too. So let's see, 1, 2, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. So we're on the right track. So now let's go ahead and answer some questions. So for the first question, it's going to ask us which animal has the most legs. So which animal has the most legs? Now we look at our graph and we see, okay, birds, there's only 2, so that's not a lot. So let's look at our dogs, 4, okay, that's more, but that's not the most. Let's look at insects. Oh my gosh, there's 6. Look, it colored in the entire graph. We can clearly tell based on the colors and the length of the height and length of our bars that insects have the most legs. So in here, we're going to write which animal has the most legs? Insects. Insects have the most legs. So then we're going to do a second question. So the second question that I asked the students was, how many legs do we have in all? So what we're going to do is we want to know all the legs that were counted here. So first we see birds. Let's see, 1, 2. Then we're going to count insects, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and count the dogs, 9, 10, 11, 12. So with all of these animals combined, if we were to make like a super animal, we would have 12. And sometimes you can even recount it yourself if you want to make sure. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, 12. So here, how many legs in all? Question mark. 12 legs. Okay. So that is our math assignment, and this is going to conclude our video. If you have any questions or concerns, please let Ms. Kalasa and I know. We are happy to help. Okay, so I will see you next time. Goodbye.